Oh yeah, welcome to the podcast. I am Rachel Rivera, and I'm going to be joined by Lance Waka from the Menominee tribe. So let's get some context in before I have Lance on the show. I am of Taino descent and Cherokee descent. Lance is from the Menominee and the Oneida tribe. So we both come from two different places, I guess, in a way. Our thoughts aren't necessarily meant to represent the entirety of the indigenous community's thoughts. We are not all-knowing beings. This is just our personal experience from how we were raised and being from different regions. So don't take our word as gospel, okay? But do not invalidate our experiences solely because of ignorance, okay? Thank you. So the first topic that we will be speaking on in representation, which is this segment, will be the road to El Dorado. And I am using my source of Native American Media Representation.wordpress.com. And the article is called The Road to El Dorado, The Complications of Colonization. So, the indigenous people of El Dorado are an amalgamation of different indigenous cultures, taking inspiration from the Maya, Inca, Aztec, and Olmec. They are dark-skinned, wear minimal and quote-unquote primitive clothing compared to Miguel and Tulio, and they worship their various gods at temples. This blend of South American tribes serves to make the people seem ethnic while allowing the filmmakers to avoid worrying about historical facts or representing a certain tribe accurately. Though, with the El Dorado, it is fairly complicated in terms that El Dorado was originally believed to be in Puerto Rico because the women of the Taino tribes were wearing a lot of gold and shells and cotton aprons. Keep in mind, this is what I've been told as a child from Puerto Rico, and this is just what my family and peers have believed. Similar to what Shell was wearing in the movie, so I believe it might have actually been accidental, but it seems more attached to the Taino tribe, especially with the use of giving them bangs. I haven't done that much research on other tribes since I'm trying to relearn my own culture, but I do know that the Taina women wore their hair in bangs and had long hair, like they had long hair with bangs. And the other thing I would like to point out is that women in the Taino tribe were always naked, but they always wore gold jewelry and stuff, shells and stuff, but they were always naked in terms of clothing, not accessories. So her having that apron, that cotton apron, actually is kind of funny because if it was going off of the Taino, the belief that El Dorado was around the Caribbean area, that would actually mean Shell was married even after she had that relation with, I believe it was Tulio, the guy with the black hair. So yeah, she would actually be having an affair. Though, to be fair, in Taino culture, they weren't necessarily monogamous. A lot of marriages actually practiced polyamory. It's just, I do not believe it was consented to by the other party that Shell was married to. But when all of that's said and done, that is the only complaints I have about that in terms of Taino representation. Though in the original podcast that I sadly lost a file for, I noticed that a lot of the temples that they had were made of gold. Yeah, obviously El Dorado means gold, but blah, 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 But I noticed that they were made after Western Hispanic, what's it called? Temples and pyramids and not pyramids. Oh my gosh, I'm so uncultured. Okay, but yeah, I actually didn't realized that they were trying to base it off of generally the indigenous people of the Latino America. So yeah, that's on me. So if I do find the original podcast file, I will delete it. But yeah, that's it for El Dorado in terms of complaints. Other than that, they mainly tried to like stick to a generalization so they wouldn't have to worry about like getting things accurate. So therefore my
This is
complaints
where
about the
the audio
Taino
glitched, so I'm
traditions and
sorry.
stuff are nullified. But I just wanted to add my own 2 cents into this based on what I had personally made my own conclusion. I had to cut myself off right there because I was about to start stammering for like 5 minutes straight. The power of editing. So, moving on to the next movie, which is dreaded by many of my fellow Indigenous brothers and sisters. The movie Pocahontas. Well, first of all, I am gonna clarify that Pocahontas' name was Matoaka, and her title was Princess Matoaka. Though her name was hidden because they thought the English people would harm her if they knew it, I guess. I do not know. But they called her Pocahontas. Even though Matoaka was the nickname to her actual name, I believe. I don't know. There were believed to be like 2 separate names for her. One, her birth name. The other, Matoaka being her nickname, or Matoaka was her actual name. I've seen different things from my research, though I will admit that research is rather limited. But nonetheless, Pocahontas was only a nickname. And as we know it, Matoaka was actually the first missing and or murdered Indigenous woman. She was actually taken and sent to England to be a wife. And she was... a lot of bad stuff had been done to her. So her spouse was actually John Rolfe from 1614 to 1617, which is, I believe, when she had died. Because, though the cause of her death was... Okay, so she actually died in England from what they assume is an unspecified illness, according to nps.gov. Okay, so one of the things that historians and pathologists, I believe, have come to the conclusion of is that she actually just suffered from dysentery, which is infection of the intestines, resulting in severe diarrhea, and there's blood and mucus in the feces. She died at 21 and she was buried at St. George's Church. But she actually got sick as soon as she went on the shore of Gravesend because it was a rapidly growing city. It was in London specifically. And it was extremely, extremely polluted in the air and the water. Though other places, such as the Wikipedia for Pocahontas, yeah, I know, Wikipedia, blah, 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 don't kill me. They actually believe that she died of unknown causes. Some have even speculated that she had actually died due to a sabotage from the Englishmen or from the constant, assaults, assaults that she had received. So it's very diluted, I guess, if that's the right word. It was very unclear of how she died because people have different stories on it. But as we all know, Pocahontas was quote unquote Americanized or Englishized because she was sent to England. She had actually had her name changed to Rebecca Rolfe, similar to her husband John Rolfe, because, she took his last name. But she is the first known missing and murdered Indigenous woman. But she was turned by Disney into this romanticized love story and generally very sexualized. I hate to say it. She was very sexualized in the movie, whether you choose to believe that or not. Actually, according to people from that same tribe, that dress that she wore in the beginning of the movie actually isn't too far off necessarily, though the specific way that she had her dress with the one sleeve, I think, one strap, that it would not be that short. It would be kind of loose and very long, but yeah, I do not have a source for that because I only got it from other Indigenous people who did their research on this kind of stuff. So basically, it's hearsay. Do not take my word for this. It's kind of sad, but I genuinely do not want backlash.
I am Lance Waka, and I am from the Menominee Reservation, and I am also part Oneida.
Poggers.
Okay.
Okay, so the only thing that we'll be talking about with you is the boarding schools, as your grandfather actually went to one.
Do you want me to go, do what I did before when talking about...
Breaking news, people. As it turns out, there's a term for people justifying the colonization of the indigenous people, bro. We finna find it out. Okay, and then we're gonna move on. Boarding schools. Okay, poggers. Okay, it's called Manifest Destiny. Also, I've heard of Manifest Destiny. That's really messed up. Wait, what? Oh my gosh. Okay, so this was completely normalized in my history class that Manifest Destiny was justified. It literally. Oh my god.
My grandfather went through and all that?
Oh yeah, this is the area where there's going to be a content warning, so there will be talks of abuse and sexual assault for people who are sensitive to that. Go to this timestamp if you want to, not hear about that. Okay, you got 5 seconds, all right? All right, you got 5 seconds. 5. Mississippi. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Damn, that's messed up. We're going to be talking about, on this section, is boarding schools and the abuse and the sexual assault that many Native Americans went through, the 2 previous generations, like my grandfather and all that. When they got to the boarding schools, they would instantly cut the hair of every child upon arrival. And hair is a really important thing in my culture, and if not most tribes today. It's cutting hair symbolizes mourning or loss, and cutting one's hair forcibly at a young age like that was probably pretty traumatizing, since it's a huge thing. And second, they would whitewash the children. And made them believe in Christianity rather than their own beliefs, because they were told that their belief is wrong and that Christianity was the right way. And third, they would beat him for speaking his language and doing anything that remotely resembled, their culture to strip them away. That was bad, and that was not the way to go. So they beat him, right, for speaking the language. They also slapped his hands with rulers for singing indigenous songs. They tried to strip everything away that made us who we were to make it easier to commit genocide and mass atrocities on us, wouldn't give up our land willingly in pursuit of so-called manifest destiny.
I hate that word.
Yeah, I know. It's like they just like slapped a quick name on it to justify the horrible things that they did to people back that our people back then. And it's insulting, really. And the fact that nobody really mentions it is also a bigger atrocity in itself. The fact that not many people, not even our own people, like know about it and are traumatized because of it. And I think that's like a step in the right direction is understanding all that and moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that.
So, what do we do now that we know all of this? Well, a lot of people are actually trying to raise awareness about a thing called MMIW, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. There was a task force and a search group made to look for Caitlin Kelly, for example, a missing Menominee woman who went missing in early June, I believe, or late August. She was a mother, and she went missing right around the spot she was last seen, where a lot of murdered or missing Indigenous women of that area was found.